Barry, welcome to the House of Shadows and Ink, where in this room of the house we chat with fellow creators, authors, creative people, and we just look at the journey that you've been on and everything that you do. We're going to chat about your book a bit. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Okay, so Barry, we know the Great Dick and what's the demons? What's wrong with the demon again?
Dysfunctional Demon, the
Dysfunctional
Great Dick and
Demon.
the Dysfunctional Demon.
Yes, that is the most interesting title I've seen in a while. Like, really. And I know we've been through quite a journey getting to here. And the interior, the actual story of the book is so amazing that nothing that we do from our side, Chris Lake Publishing, kind of feels like it's at the level where this book is. And I mean, this is our second cover. We've changed subtitles. We've done so many things, and because this is just an amazing book. So before we get to the book, which will be out pretty soon, tell us about how your career started, because I know you did some other stuff before you wrote this book.
No, I did not form fully grown at this point. Yeah. You want to know my previous career? Actually, I started out as a writer. I basically started out writing novels which nobody bought. And so I wrote a novel which actually got published by a very small publisher, and it did absolutely nothing. So I started trying to commit journalism, and I did that for a while. I got about 100 different articles published, and I probably had about 100 different jobs to support myself while that was happening. As I always say, sometimes I lived on the beach, not in a house on the beach. I lived on the beach with the sand and the seagulls. That was how much money I was making. I did get lucky. I got an agent who suggested I write a business book. I wrote a business book, and that worked. The Wall Street Journal picked up big ad for it. People started calling me to speak. And once I could speak, I could make money, and then I could afford to keep writing. And so it really wasn't that I was speaking and became a writer. I was a writer who became a speaker.
Oh, that's good.
And it's good. I mean, if you're going to make it as a writer, and the money's very, very tough, it's good to have something that's bringing the money in. And speaking is very good because you can go in there and you can speak to 2,000 people and sell 2,000 books.
Mhm.
And that's nice, particularly once I got the rights back to some of my early stuff and I could sell them under my own name and make, $20 a book instead of a buck. So, so that was a really good strategy for me. While I was speaking, one of the things that happens is you have a platform and editors start approaching you. And that's a lot nicer than approaching editors. Not that editors aren't wonderful people, but it can be a little tough to convince them that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread when you've got to when they've got 300 people applying to them that day. They've got 300
Mm.
emails lined up for people that are querying them.
No, that's good. I've always told authors that you need a whole set of skills, and it's not just being a writer these days. It's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with it. And if you can make money with like your skill set, why not? I mean, being a writer is such an amazing skill to have that you can actually apply to a whole bunch of other stuff. And you are quite the public speaker. I've looked at some of like your track record and just the testimonials that have come in.
Well, that's one of the things we did to sell. Basically, to sell me as a public speaker, we collected testimonials from everybody we could possibly get them from. Every single client was asked, "What did you think? What did you think
Mm.
about Barry?" And fortunately, they liked it. You know, you always kind of have a bit of trepidation whenever you do that. Well, what did you think
Mm.
about me? Well, that sucked. Uh, you're always afraid of getting that really bad review. But if you're not willing to do that, you shouldn't be willing to charge people money for what you do.
Mm.
So, I would bite the bullet, and every time, no matter how well I might have thought that it went or how well I might have thought it didn't go, we'd always ask for review. And fortunately, we got literally hundreds of testimonials on the website. And so when somebody called to
Mm.
ask about a speaking gig, all we do is say, take a look at the video, take a look at the testimonials, then call us back. And that was the sale.
And
Couldn't have been easy.
there's actually a big comparison there with being an author. Like your words, that's what you're selling. I mean, you as the whole package, but whether you're standing in front of a whole bunch of people talking or you are basically giving us your written word this time, there's still going to be reviews. People are still going to give their opinions. I think thankfully you've like most authors, we have a tough skin by now, but I mean that comes with years and years of experience. And public speaking is such a important skill to have. Like for me personally, I didn't even do interviews 2 or 3 years ago. I just couldn't. Public speaking was not for me. And then I found basically my passion. So if you're also really passionate about something and you like learn a lot, you just keep getting better, and then eventually you feel like you want to talk to people about it, and it comes naturally. So I think you actually gained this valuable skill that a lot of authors that we're actually teaching authors now to be better public speakers, do readings, presentations, interviews like this, blogs, whatever. So well done for you, and I think it's going to be good for your book as well.
I hope so. I'm a bit out of practice because I haven't done an interview in a long. This is the first interview live I've done in probably a year and a half because I stopped doing them. There was no need. Uh, so it's a matter of staying in practice like anything else.
Mm.
And it's fun when you do it and it's going right and you've got a good rapport with the person doing the interview and you get to talk about yourself, what could be more fun than that? And you get to talk about your work, which is,
Mm.
something else you really believe in, otherwise you shouldn't be doing it.
Well, I think once people read your book, The Great Dick and the Dysfunctional Demon, it's going to be the same. The reviews on Amazon will be just as amazing as the reviews on your website for your public speaking stuff. And because I've read your book and it blows my mind. Like not just the story, the skill level of the actual writing as well. I'm reading a lot of submissions right now for Crystal Lake Publishing, and it's like the first page in. I'm already comparing it to books that I've accepted. I'm like, this is not even nearly at the level where it needs to be. But then I just go back to your book and it's like first paragraph in, it's got me hooked. Like, so how
Oh,
long did
good,
it take
good.
you to write a book at that level? I mean, how many rounds of edits?
I showed the book to a person one time and they said, knowing that I was a speaker, not thinking of me as a writer, and they said, wow, you're a natural storyteller.
Mm,
What they didn't realize was that was probably the seventh or the eighth draft they were reading. Because, I mean, the old saw is writing isn't writing, it's rewriting. And that's
mm,
really true. And it took me a while. It probably took me 2 years of just straight writing. And I told you how the book came to me, with the brain tumor and all, which
mm,
was that was just putting the story in my head initially, but then taking it from my head and putting it onto paper is a whole different thing. Uh, but it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. If you enjoy doing it, the writing is better,
mm.
obviously. When you get to those times when you're grinding it out and your teeth are grinding and it's just not working and you got to go over it again tomorrow and again the next day, that's not necessarily fun. But when it's really flowing and it's getting better and it's getting better and you're improving it, then, it's a joy.
No, I agree. And if you want, you can share your story with the the YouTube listeners if you want about the brain tumor and the story.
Yeah, I will because I haven't told that very many times. Uh, it's a very, very weird thing. I was speaking, that's what I did. I was speaking on an
Mm,
Asian cruise and I was having trouble with my watch. I couldn't quite figure it out sometimes. And I was doing a session, at the theater and I looked out at the clock to see how much time I had left and I couldn't figure out what the clock meant. So this is not good. I went in to buy a hat, $7 cap. The vendor said it's $7. I needed a hat. And I gave her two hundreds and a 10. And it was a very nice cap, but it wasn't that nice a cap. So I, figured being a rather clever lad, I figured there was something wrong there. Uh, Turned out I had a rather large brain tumor. And when I went in to have the brain tumor dealt with, had my head slot open and the guy cutting through my brain with a scalpel, I came out of that with Lady Gaga singing on a loop in my head over and over and over again, and this story, which was which was really quite incredible. And the story was like a memory. It was like it wasn't like I'd been in it, but it was like I'd seen it, like I'd watched it. And the story was The Great Dick, and I couldn't shake it. And it stayed with me. Fortunately, Lady Gaga stopped singing after a couple of days, but the story stayed with me, and I spent a couple of years putting it together and turning it into a book. And and it's kind of amazing. It's actually kind of
Yeah, it is.
amazing.
I'm wondering if the surgeons, maybe one of them was singing a song and the others were talking about someone being a great dick or whatever. I don't know. And
Yeah,
subconsciously you took it all in.
it's quite possible. When I woke up with the singing, I thought somebody was playing the song over and over again in
Mm.
the recovery room. Obviously, they weren't because it sounded that much like the song. It sounded just like the song. Uh, as far as the story, I really don't know. I do know right after, in fact, after I placed the book with you, I was looking through some old files. I write a weekly column. And I was looking for information, something I could use to turn into a column. So I was digging through all my old files, and I found these files that had been probably passed from computer to computer to computer to computer. And it was one folder, and I couldn't read any of the files, but I could read the name of the files in them. And one was called Zondi's Grave, which is a key plot point of the Great Dick and the Dysfunctional Demon. So what I'm thinking of is if I could open that file, is it probably contains the germ of that story, which when they did something, whatever to my brain, or it's possible I even had a seizure, they said, uh, became that story that I woke up with. It's hard to say, it's like
Mm,
the man who thought his wife was a hat, that kind of stuff. It's like who knows what the brain will do under
mm,
pressure.
true. Well, tell us a bit about the story of the Great Dick.
Well, well, let's see. Let me give it to you. I've written this synopsis so many times now. I should have it by heart. But it's 1982. The story takes place, which incidentally is when that file was dated, 1982, which is also
Nice.
bizarre. Uh, the guy's name, Steve Wachowski. It's an alias. He's a former countercultural hero, but now he's a failed songwriter running from the law, and he's just killed a man. Saving a woman from an attack by what he thinks is like the strongest wino in California. Guy should be moving on, but the woman, she's beyond stunning. And strangely enough, she's just bought this decrepit old church with a rather notorious past. So she asks, will he stay and help? Yeah, he will stay and help. Just as he's agreeing to do that, on his arm, the face of the man he kills appears. So she becomes the woman named Victoria, she becomes just a part of the mystery that he can't unravel. And he's digging through crypts and graves, trying to find the secrets of a former self-proclaimed sorcerer. Uh, he's plunging into a nightmare of fire and blood and death. And he's thinking, these spells, these rituals, of course, they aren't going to work if we ever even find them. And they can't possibly work until they do. And unbeknownst to him, a demon is growing very desperate. So that's the first time I've actually gone over that summary, and it's something that as a writer you got to be able to do, and you got to be able to do better than that. So I need to go over it a few dozen
Well,
times until I have it in my head, so I can just pour it out naturally,
mm,
sounding conversational.
the words you use now from me reading the synopsis is like that's exactly how I recall it, almost word for word. I'd
It's
say
almost
the
word for word, but the important thing is not that it sounds word for word. The important thing is that it sounds conversational,
mm,
So I'll go over it a bunch more times until I have it down. So when somebody asks me, tell me about the book, and they're doing an interview, I'll be able to give it and it'll sound like we're having a conversation rather than I'm giving the words word for
good.
word
Mm.
fra- from the
Bec-
synopsis.
Because I think the main thing missing from that synopsis or description is the just the humor aspect of it. I mean, this is this is one, I mean, just your writing, like the it just oozes dark humor, sarcasm, funny, like it's all there. And I think that needs to be in your message as well.
Yeah, that one of the things, and I'll have to work that in. One of the things we did with the description, and hopefully, I haven't seen the back cover of the book yet. Hopefully, it's on there. Is we put a couple of the blurbs that we had from writers that talked about the humor of the book. Because you were right.
Yes,
Because I
they
gave you the
did.
first time I wrote that description, it didn't have anything to do at all about the humor. Still doesn't. But hopefully, the description will appear with those blurbs and talking about the humor. I
Uh,
was really surprised after, I write the column I write weekly is a humor column. So I write with humor, and I always try to write with humor. And
mm.
I knew there was humor in The Great Dick, but I was surprised by virtually everybody that commented on the book commented on the humor. And I'm thinking, I'm scaring the hell out of people here, and they're laughing. But that's good because that's
No,
what I
that's
was trying
good.
to do. That's what I was trying to do.
It's very like Alfred Hitchcock. It's scary, and then there's that relief, that just like laughing, you crack yourself up, and then it's like back to scared again. That's how I experience it. So no, that's really good. And um, so now I've lost my train of thought. I'll edit this bit out. Um, yes, so the testimonials that you got for the book, the blurbs and stuff, that was very impressive. Like, um, I was trying not to like let that influence my decision because I read that before I read the book. I think you put it in your submission email, so it was really hard to ignore. But
Damn
so
straight I did.
good on you.
All right.
So that's impressive. How did you get all those names?
Just emails, just sending emails out there, trying to get the emails for various writers. And, you know, bam, 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 bam. I probably sent what we got about 15 of those things from writers, most of them best-selling writers,
Mm,
and wrote up. I wrote an email out. I wrote an email up, and I had my marketing guy send it to everybody we could get the email for. And maybe 20 of them agreed to read it. I think 15 of us gave us blurbs. I don't know if the other five, what happened with them, but we didn't get blurbs from everybody we sent the book to, but just about everybody. And they were all raves.
mm.
So I don't know, maybe the other five hated it, but I tend to think we tend to get excuses like, I just don't have time to read it. I just,
Mm,
and I can understand that. I'm asking very, very, very busy people
true.
and very successful people in some cases to take their time and read what's a 127,000 word book and then comment on it and hopefully like it. Fortunately, they did. Uh, but we had people like uh, geez, I can't even remember his name, so I won't say it. But we had some very, very busy people who said, "Well, I'll do it if I can get around to it. I'll do it after I finish this book. I'll do it," and they just never got around to
Mm.
it. And I can't really blame them. I didn't know them. We just, would you like
Well,
to do this, please?
from a marketing perspective, definitely email them again when the book is out. We'll even look at
Oh
like
yeah,
maybe sending them some copies,
yeah.
and
We yes,
that would be really
definitely.
cool. And I noticed Dion Mayer's name on there, which is of course a South African best-selling author.
Yes,
I actually met
nice
him
guy.
a few years ago. Very nice guy. He came and gave like a lecture to authors. So I was definitely there. So when I spotted his name as well, and I know like he doesn't just accept any book to read.
No,
So well done there.
yeah, he was one that I really didn't expect to get a response from. I mean,
Mm,
he's just so big internationally. In fact, initially, people in this country in America don't necessarily know him that well. They know he's a best-selling author, but they don't know all the stuff he's done, all the
mm.
prizes he's won. So the blurb I had underneath his name initially when we were
Yes.
I sent that to you. It was just like what, a paragraph long of all the different prizes he won. I mean, the guy's just amazing. And it was the fact that he would take the time to read this and
Mm.
comment on it was just wonderful. I really, really appreciated it.
I think in his case, he wrote mostly in Afrikaans, which is like our national language, well, one of 11, I think. And I don't know, maybe about 10 years ago, he started publishing internationally in English. So I think he's just a bit behind the international market, but he's gonna get there. I mean, I think pretty soon.
Oh yeah.
I kind of see him as like a Wilbur Smith type author. So he's gonna
Hmm.
get there for sure. Well, hopefully you as well, because I mean, I think you have a few more 2 year novels in you. So,
Well, I'm working on one now. Hopefully it won't take 2 years, but it's you never know. You never know, you know.
no, that's good. Okay. Let's see. I'll cut this bit out again. Anything else you want to talk about?
Uh
I, I would
Anything else I want?
I
That's a
would
big
like to
subject.
I
Go
would
ahead.
like to cover maybe tips for authors on like presentations, public speaking, that kind of stuff. If you have some advice for authors. Um,
Yeah, I do. I do. You know, you talk about what you like. You know, like you said, write about what you like, but talk about what you like. And don't worry about being perfect. One of the things that speakers always do when they're learning the business is they get the cold sweats worrying about, oh, I'm going to screw
mm,
that up. Yeah, you're going to screw it up. People screw it up. People don't even notice. People don't even notice in the audience. They want you to succeed. Unless you get flustered, unless you make a big deal out of it, it's not going to matter.
mm,
When I was speaking, one of the first international gigs I got, I was speaking in outside of Dublin, and we had a minor disaster before it happened. I spilled something all over my pants. Got to get it cleaned up. My pants are all wet. Blah blah. Got to go out on stage with soaking wet pants, and so I can't walked out on stage. I made a joke out of it that went over fine, and then got ready to speak and forgot my opening line. Now I'd probably spoken, I don't know, at that point, 300 times using that same opening line for every single time I'd done it, and I'd forgot it. So I looked at the audience and I said, you know, I just forgot my opening line. And I walked back to where I keep my notes, opened the book. Oh, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. You know, I had
mm.
the notes there in case I needed it. I was prepared for that. As long as I didn't get flustered, they were going to accept it. You know, they wanted me to succeed. They wanted to hear what I had to say. You know?
Oh, good.
And speakers need to realize that.
Mm. I think in the same way with an author, well, any creator, like you can't fear and like have the fear become a distraction. You have to let your like natural skill set take over. It's like rely on your training, that kind of thing. Just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
yourself.
Rely on your training, rely on the material. You know,
Mm,
one of the things once you're a speaker and you've done it for a while, once I get this down, this blurb here, uh, I'll rely on the material because I know it'll work, you know. And when you rely on the material, then you don't have to get flustered or nervous about it. So
that's good. And when it comes to craft itself, like how did you learn? Did you basically study other authors? Was it just from like experience, trial and error?
writing, you mean?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Uh, well, I have a degree in literature for whatever that's worth. Uh, I'm not sure whatever that is worth. And I spent about an hour and a half at the graduate journalism program at University of California, Berkeley. And then I just wrote.
Mm,
I mean, like I say, I probably published in 100 different publications when I was a kid. Uh, just writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and getting rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected, which was great when I became a speaker and we started
mm.
marketing because, you know, somebody rejected me. It's like, okay, who's next? You know? And that's really the attitude you have to have.
Oh, yes.
If you're doing what you want to do and you believe in what you're doing and you believe in the material, you know, which was one of the problems I had because I'd write something and I'd get it to the way I wanted, and then somebody turns it down, and it's like, what? How can't they see? Why can't they see my wonderfulness here? You know, and it can be tough. You know, it can be tough
Mm,
because how many rejections do you get before you get anything accepted? A lot. You know,
mm. Yeah, and you just gotta keep pushing, keep going. I think
got to keep pushing.
that's
You
the
maybe
main
have to
thing.
keep revising. Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of people
Yeah, you may have to go
put
over it again and learn, you know, as one of the
mm,
things I learned as a speaker is everybody's going to have an opinion. And you've got to learn to separate the wheat from the chaff and what's a valuable suggestion they're making as opposed to just, well, they
mm,
don't know what they're talking about or they're just having a bad day or whatever. And you can't let the bad ones always affect you. You
mm.
know, the
More
bad ones,
than the good
you know,
ones.
More than the good one. Yeah, that's the classic thing. You get 12 people say that's wonderful. Or in the case of a speaker, have 99 people say that's the greatest speech I ever heard. And one says, yeah, I don't know. It's a little boring in places. All you're going to focus on is a little boring in places.
Mm,
But if the next place you go also says it's a little boring in places, and the place after that says it,
mm,
maybe it is a little boring in places, and you've got to go in there and find those places and do something about it.
mm. Yes, and I know authors also tend to stay away from reviews on Amazon. I always say if your skin is tough enough, go through them and just look for patterns, like look for people mentioning the same things,
That's it.
whether it's your pacing or dialogue. But if it's just one guy by being a troll, whatever, just ignore it. But that's easier said than done, I know, for most authors.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Yeah. Yeah. How you develop that skill of knowing which ones to ignore and which ones not to ignore and which ones not to take to heart. When, as a young writer, when you get those things, especially when you get something from an editor and it says this, that, or the other thing, you tend to think, oh my God, and change, you want to change everything you're doing to satisfy whatever that little quirk is. But maybe you wait till you get two or three of the same suggestions
Mm.
before you should do it.
Or
If you believe in what you're doing and
yes,
you think it works, and
at the
have
very
readers.
least, for sure. At the very least, I'd also say look at the track record of that editor. Like, is he
Yeah,
just trying to be impressive, or like who has he worked with? Like, whose work has he edited, and like how did those books do? So he might just be full of himself as well. So,
yeah, good point. Good point. Or maybe you think, or maybe he really wants to offer a suggestion because he thinks you got some real talent.
mm,
Be because if you're reading somebody and it's just terrible, you know this more than I do. If you're reading something and it's just terrible, you probably don't make a lot of suggestions, right?
mm.
If there's
I'm not
no hope
gonna
for it.
waste extra time. The biggest suggestion I've given to someone was just during this open submission was please just go learn about structure and
Mm,
paragraphs. That was like the most time
paragraphs.
I spent on a rejection. Um,
Uh, mm,
because unless I really see there's skill, there's talent, great work, keep working, keep at it, try again next year, kind of positive
yeah,
message. But otherwise, I'm not, as an editor, publisher, whatever, I've already wasted it enough time on that really bad submission, whatever.
right,
So
right.
we just have to move on because at the moment I can do 4 or 5 submissions a day, but we're
Hmm.
receiving like 8 to 10 a day. So like every day I just get further behind, and you do feel that kind of pressure. So it's hard not to go into another submission with like a negative mindset, um, because I
Yeah.
don't want, like you said, like that guy he's giving you a bad review because he might have had a bad day, or
Mm.
so I don't want to go into reading a submission because I just read 10 bad ones, thinking this is another time waster or whatever. So, uh, but I
So
mean,
do you get, so excuse me,
no, no,
do you get the kind of the mindset where you pick this thing up and you're looking for a reason to reject it? I mean, I would think you've got so many and they're all coming in and most of them are just not going to make it. And you
we
find
had
yourself picking
this.
the thing up and saying, why should I read this?
My editor in chief and I had this discussion yesterday about
Mm,
like one of us needs to look for something to either like make us reject it, and the other one needs to look for something positive to make us want to accept it. And then we've got a nice balanced approach, and we
good
can
idea.
give notes to each other and basically decide on that. And then we ask for like the full manuscript, and she will then read the whole thing. She'll look at it from a like craft perspective and story plot, and I'll look at it from like marketability. What can I do with it? Is it
Hmm.
like our kind of book, Crystal Lake, or maybe one of our imprints? And we just go through that all the whole motion until we decide. And then of course you also have, let's say you've got 10 books you want to say yes to, but there's only like 6 spots. So that book that would have been in number 11 spot, or well, in this case, 7, 8, 9, 10, they're going to get rejected. And they came so
Right.
close. I mean, it's not like we're going to tell them, look, your book, we accept. accepted six, you number seven, because they're most
Right,
likely
right.
going to say, no, take it. I'll wait 2 or 3 years or something. Just give me an
Mhm.
advance. And then you have to say no. So, um, yeah, but I mean, that's like you said with writing as well. Experience is everything.
Experience
If
is
if
everything.
if this was my first open submissions, I would have been completely overwhelmed, like drowning in work. But
Mm.
or like going through the emotional turmoil, opening every email. And now it's just like I'm like a an emotional robot, but I'm waiting for that one thing to like to catch my eye, and I'm open to it. I am looking for it. So,
Good. It's
and I
good if you're
mean,
looking for something to accept rather than just
yes,
something to reject.
and I mean that's like when you submitted your work, you had um a great pitch. Um, you were well prepared, and that's also what we're looking for, like someone who's well prepared. They know how to deliver a pitch, what they what a synopsis is. A lot of authors don't even
Mm.
know what that is, how to write a bio. They actually follow the submission guidelines, nice query letter, everything. And we can see from like their website and work that they've done over the last few years that they are actively working towards this career. It's not like
Mhm.
just here's my book, I've done nothing else. You can do it kind of message. Like, and you get that
Mhm.
message of like, oh, I'm not going to do anything further. You're going to accept this and you're going to make me a lot of money. And then I'm like, no. These days, I mean, the author involvement is is way more than it used to be. Like, uh,
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
even if you get like with the big publishers, if you don't have the drive and the passion and like out there being seen and heard online, everything, uh, it's gonna be hard. Readers expect that. So,
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I don't think that any of my nonfiction, I don't think one of those books ever made it to publication with the editor that bought it. It was just they were gone. They were moved on to something else. So there was nobody at the publisher to fight for these things. So basically, you did it
mm,
yourself. And being a speaker, that was nice because that was a cushion for these things. We are always going to get a certain amount of sales no matter what. You know.
true. No, it's the same thing for a fiction author. Like if if you have an author who goes to conventions and they actively sell books, like maybe signed copies through their website, they don't just
Mhm.
rely on Amazon algorithms or whatever. They make things happen. When book sales start going down a bit, they actually email me and we discuss like what can we do? Let's try this
Mhm.
tactic and do a sale or a promo, whatever. Um, that's how you sell a book in the long run. So otherwise, you're also just going to have a big opening week and then it's gone. And
It'll
Amazon
be gone.
likes consistency, so that's when they start promoting a book.
Yeah.
Any final words for readers on why they should try The Great Dick and The Dysfunctional Demon?
How many books are they ever going to encounter in their life with the title The Great Dick and the Dysfunctional Demon? I think it should be worth checking out just for that reason, if nothing else. I think it's a worthwhile book. I think it's a book that, not that I'm prejudiced or anything, but I think it's a book that's not only exciting and interesting and funny, but I think it's a book that's got something to say. I don't think that if I recommended it to anyone, they would come to me later and say, nah, if I was just a friend recommending it to them.
Mm,
And I feel so I don't have a problem with marketing this book because I think while there may be somebody, it's always going to be that one guy who may not like it for whatever reason. I think most of the people that read this are going to like it. And I don't know whether I owe that to my brain tumor or all the drafts I did of the thing over and over and over again, but I think it worked out real well. I'm proud of it.
no, definitely. And I'd say it's worth having it on your bookshelf as like a conversation piece. Like when you invite friends over, just like put it on the table. This is tonight's opening discussion. And for like just what I can say about the book, this is the kind of book you read in bed next to your spouse and you can't stop laughing every like 30 seconds. And they're like, what are you reading? It's that kind of book. And no, it's a horror book. It's a scary book. And they're like, no, it's
Mhm.
not. That's that's what I can say about it. And well done
Thank
to
you.
you for writing a book like that. So, well, thanks, Barry. This has been really cool. Um, any final words, perhaps, for authors? I mean, you have quite the experience, quite a lot of um, uh, what can we call it? A
Rejections.
a well-lived life that has led you on this path to where you wrote this book.
Yeah, yeah, I would have that. What I just said, I think, is always my advice to authors. Get another rejection. That's fine. Just keep doing it. Just keep plugging
Mm,
away. You're going to get the rejections. Don't let it worry you. Take the advice. If there's advice in there that you can take to heart that's worthwhile, yeah, pay attention. And as we said before, if you get two or three times you get the same piece of advice, maybe you should really pay attention to it.
mm,
But, collect your rejections. Start collecting your no's as soon as possible. Sooner or later, you're going to get a yes.
mhm. I think Stephen King did that as well. So it means we're on the right path. So thanks, Barry. This has been really cool.
Thanks, Joe.
Um, and thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.